So, we're about to dive into an ancient text that reads less like scripture and more like a high stakes corporate org chart. And in this particular organization, making a mistake on the job wasn't just going to get you fired, it could get you killed. I mean, just think about that for a second. What if that was your job? This wasn't some hypothetical. It was the daily reality for the people serving in the ancient Israelite sanctuary. This was a place of immense power, and as we're about to see, immense peril. And here's the warning, straight from the source text. It's not a suggestion, it's not a maybe. It's a statement of fact that sets the stage for this entire system, a system designed not just for worship, but for sheer survival. Okay, section 1, a high-stakes holy zone. The core idea here is actually pretty simple. Getting too close to the divine was considered incredibly dangerous. So this whole structure was a carefully engineered solution to manage that very real risk. The whole goal was to create a buffer zone, a space between the raw holiness of the divine and the everyday world of the people. It was all about having clear roles, clear responsibilities, and very, very clear boundaries to maintain this fragile, crucial balance. Right, section 2, the sanctuary's key players. So if we look at this org chart, it really breaks down into two main tiers of personnel. You've got the priests, who were direct descendants of Aaron, and then you have their assistants, the Levites. Probably the easiest way to think about it is like this. The priests were the executive leadership. They had the top-level security clearance, direct access to the altar, the inner sanctuary, the whole shebang. And the Levites, they were the indispensable operations team, the essential support staff, making sure everything ran smoothly on the outside. And this table just lays it out perfectly. Look at that access level column. Priests get the altar and inner sanctuary. Levites get the outer tent of meeting. And this is critical. Look at key responsibility. Each group was literally responsible for any mistakes made in their zone. The priests bore the guilt for the holy things, and the Levites for the tent itself. All right, section 3, duties, roles, and risks. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this actually worked, because crossing these lines, even by accident, came with the ultimate price tag. The whole system was basically set up like a series of concentric circles, right? Like a target. The closer you get to the center, the more restricted the access becomes. Priests are right there in the bullseye. The Levites are in the next ring out, and the general public? They're kept at a very safe distance. And this is the key. That line, that invisible boundary separating the outer tent from the inner sanctuary and the altar, that was the single most dangerous line in the entire system. It wasn't a guideline, it was an absolute rule meant to keep both the Levites and the priests from dropping dead on the spot. I mean, the text couldn't be any clearer, could it? Unauthorized access was a capital offense, period. It just hammers home the incredible gravity and seriousness of this work environment. Section 4, payment without land. So you've got these incredibly vital, incredibly dangerous jobs. How in the world were these people compensated? Well, the answer is just fascinating because it had absolutely nothing to do with the main source of wealth in the ancient world, owning land. First, the text makes this absolutely shocking declaration to the priests. It says, basically, unlike every other family in Israel, you get no land. Nothing. Can you imagine being told that your family will have no property, no real estate to call your own, forever? But then, you get this powerful, incredible reversal. Their inheritance wasn't going to be physical, it was divine. God himself is declared to be their share, their inheritance. It's just a radical rethinking of what wealth and security even mean. So what did that actually look like day to day? Well, this divine inheritance translated into a very real, very direct economic system. The priests were supported by a portion of all the offerings people brought to the sanctuary. They literally lived off the religious economy that they were in charge of. And then you see this, a specific number, 5 shekels of silver. This one little detail makes that whole abstract idea of a divine inheritance completely tangible. This wasn't just some nice poetry. It was a functioning economy with set prices, like this redemption fee that was due for every single firstborn son. Number 5, a tithe of a tithe. Okay, so that's the priests. But what about the Levites, the support staff? How did they fit into this whole economy? Well, their payment system was this really cool multi-step process that revolved around tithing. It's pretty straightforward, actually. The Levites' entire salary came from the tithe. That's 10% of all the agricultural produce from the general population. That was considered their inheritance, their direct wage for all the crucial work they did at the tent. And this is where you see the whole elegant system come together. It's a complete economic loop. Step 1, the resources flow from the people to the Levites. Then, and this is the genius part, step 3, the Levites turn around and give 10% of their income to support the priests. It's a totally self-sustaining model where everyone is taken care of. In our last section, number 6, the everlasting covenant. So you have to ask, right? Why build your entire spiritual and economic system this way? Well, the text doesn't just leave it as a set of rules. It frames it as something much, much deeper. The text uses this really beautiful and kind of strange phrase, a covenant of salt. That just elevates this whole arrangement. This isn't just an employment contract we're talking about. It's a sacred, unbreakable promise between God and these families. So what does that even mean? Well, in the ancient world, salt was the great preservative. It symbolized something that was pure, that wouldn't decay, that would last forever. So calling this a covenant of salt was like saying this deal is permanent, it's incorruptible, and it's meant to endure for all time. And that leaves us with this really provocative question, doesn't it? This ancient org chart presents a model where religious leadership is completely detached from owning land, which was the primary source of wealth and power. Instead, their very survival depends entirely on the day-in, day-out active faith of their community. So what does a system like that really say about the connection between wealth, power, and faith?